to do a transcript.
Hello. Our beautiful subscribers. Welcome to another subscriber show, number 81. Closing in on the 100th subscriber show as well as the 100th free show. We are going to carry on chat from the free show today. Starting with, Rob, I was just looking for the, because neither of us wrote it down. The last thing that someone commented on the free show, if you were watching or if you were listening, which was basically his mate, because he's talking about following up the David Coote thing. His mate was scammed into cracking one off on Skype, sitting on a pub toilet. And then he didn't say what happened to him, did he? But
no, well, I've got a lot of questions. Like,
and then he denied it. Said it was,
but it was
Photoshop. But he had the same jumper on. Like, the number of questions, isn't that fucking wild, aren't they?
Like, what would be so bad that you were being blackmailed about? How would the Skype so you're presumably on your phone? But I don't know, like,
saying scammed suggests to me like it's a bird saying like, oh, send me a, send me a, because me and you we've been involved in the Tinder world in the past, haven't we? And the number of girls that did you ever get that? A girl saying, oh, send me something.
Send me a chat.
And I'd just be like,
no, I didn't actually.
There is. I said to a girl once, I've said this on these shows in the past, I'm sure. I've made many, many mistakes in my life. I'm 44 years old now. I've made many mistakes. I regret many things. The one thing I am proud of is that there isn't a picture of my cock anywhere on the internet. That is not going to change anytime soon.
I've thought about that before. It's just something I've never really got, because I just don't think our bits, and this is like speaking for all men.
Speaking for all mankind.
Yeah, it's not particularly attractive thing, is it?
You don't get enough grief. People saying you speak for all Liverpool fans for Spirit of Shankly. Now you're speaking for all men on the planet.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Genuinely, there's that like a woman receiving a picture of your bell, going, "What, boss? That?" You know what I mean? I just don't like, regardless of length or girth. It's just like generally, I just think it's a bit random. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if you want to know about that, then let's have a couple of dates.
It's a great way to start a sentence about a penis, isn't it? Regardless of length or girth. I just don't think they're very pretty. I'm with you. I've had this conversation loads over the years with people. Like I just think objectively, and I can't be objective because I'm a fella.
Yeah.
But surely objectively, like the female
look at society
form,
generally, like it's not controversial to say like boobs are good, because there's a big deal made about them in society. So that can't just be me, can it? Do you know what I mean? That thinks that.
Yeah.
Whereas,
basically our entire species is run off the back of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically. Whoever created us, whatever that is, deep conversation for another day. Like, it's by design. The fellas like boobs. That's a thing. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, what would be the fucking point?
But
in the same way that bees like flowers.
Plating up a picture of your bell is not part of that, is it?
That isn't part of it. That is not part of it.
So I don't get how that's sneaked in.
We've had these conversations. How my brain works by now. Like, I love that thought of like, let's call that person God, or that thing God that created everything, whatever you believe in. But like, something created it all, didn't it? It all came from somewhere, whatever that is. And I just imagine them having that meeting, that meeting we talk about, all sitting around the table, and someone going to them one day, have you seen what they've started doing? And they're like, what? Like, the fellas have started sending pictures of their knobs to the girls. And I can imagine the creator being like, why? That wasn't part of the plan. That's not in the fucking game. But doesn't make any sense.
To link it back to Coote as well. Like, you know what I mean?
What a line, I'm clipping this. To link a conversation about cocks and a fella cracking one off on a pub toilet on Skype, to link that back to Premier League referee David Coote. Go on.
To link that to Coote, like, you're just ripe for it going wrong, aren't you? You know what I mean? Especially with like someone that you barely know off like a dating site or whatever. Just send me your knob. All right, here's me knob. Oh, well, I've just clocked that, a few people seem to know you because you got a podcast and that. I want to put your knob on Twitter. Yeah. Oh, right, okay, nice one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
couldn't couldn't agree with you more. That's why things like that, where it's like my mate got scammed into, you're like, I've got no sympathy with your mate. So let's do the. I do this for people all the time. But that's what I mean. So let's run through this. It's bad enough if you were at home, right, lonely on a Sunday night, and some bird says to you, if you send me a video of you cracking one off, I'll do whatever back. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing, right? Lads get scammed like that a lot. To be in a pub and get the message saying, go and crack one off on Skype now, and thinking, well, I'll just go into the pub toilet and do it. Fucking hell, mate.
Yeah. Make it your round. Hang on. We're in the middle of the game of Killer Pooley. I just got to crack one off in the box. Yeah, just
my battery on my phone's a bit low, lads. Anyone lend me your phone?
Well, I don't know whether Jodie subscribes to this part of the late challenge output, but we'd love to know more about it, Jodie. Do let us know. What I'm intrigued to know more detail around this whole scenario. Ian is in the comments saying, how's it going, lads? Paul, are you still drinking through the soles of your feet?
What a line. What a line. Do you know, if I die anytime soon, I would like you to all contribute to my funeral and say all the stuff that gets said in this thing. I hate it. I've always said that about you, like when you do funerals and it's all. I remember I was an altar boy when I was a kid. Have I ever mentioned that? And I always remember being in church thinking, why is everyone who dies nice? Like everyone's sound who dies, aren't there? No one's ever a bellend. And I remember even since then, there was just something in me that was like, when I die, I hope someone stands up and says like all the real stuff. Do you know what I mean? Say some nice things if you want, but say the real stuff. Say stuff like this. Do you remember when he used to drink through his feet some fucking chemicals that, like, Siobhan went to me the other week. It was funny. 2 weeks ago, she went to me. She was meant to be having a party for her mum, and she wanted to make a lasagna, like a homemade lasagna. And she went, I was looking for the glass dish that like we'd make the lasagna in, and I realised it's under your desk in your office room with fucking chemicals in it, and you've had your feet in it all week.
Lad,
like,
you can't.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm never having a lasagna in yours, lad.
Sorry
Christ.
About that. It fucking stinks as well. No, I stopped. I think, did I mention this to you last week? I stopped because it does fucking
like
stink.
Sewers. Yeah.
And I could smell it on me, and obviously, Joe, when the smell is on you, it's sort of, you get numb to it. But Siobhan said to me a couple of times, you smell, and I was like, I'm going into an office here twice a week. I can't fucking stink of sewage or whatever it is as I'm in the office, can't I?
It's not a great move, is it?
So I've been there for now. I might go back to it. I'm sure it's still making me skin scratch itchy though.
Oh, the shit. Yeah. A couple of other quite funny comments. Ian again was just asking, do you reckon cavemen used to chisel knob pictures onto stone? And different Ian Schroeder, regular contributor, said, imagine doing this 30 or 40 years ago and then having to wait for the photos to be developed. Imagine going to Max Spielman for a picture of your chap with some kind of like, remember you used to get like advisory warning stickers on it or something? Be all over it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I saw a comedian doing a bit on that the other day, saying like, my bird got a cob on with me because she said I'm old because I sent me cock photos, I sent her in black and white, and I send them through the post.
Yeah, Hells Bells is right. She's on my page. She said, speaking on behalf of womankind.
Yeah, nice way.
Nice. She says, it's not particularly an attractive part of a man's anatomy. No offence.
Yeah. No offence taking Hells Bells.
Totally with you. This is with you. This is the point. Don't get it.
Fucking
why are people sending their helmet to people and thinking this is a good way forward for society? Jibby. It's weird.
Yeah,
Slow-Mo 1980 says, an old schoolmate recently live streamed a wank on Facebook. I caught it as it happened, then 5 minutes later it disappeared. I don't know if I'm the only one that witnessed it.
That's absolutely live streamed.
Imagine that. Bumped into them like a few weeks later.
Pressed the wrong button. Did I see you did a live stream on Facebook the other week?
I did not doing anything sexual. I did a live stream that is like sort of semi-famous in Liverpool podcasting world. because some people saw it and some people didn't. But basically, I came home one night and it was like, I don't know if there was a Gerrard story kicking about, and people might remember who used to maybe watch the rap or whatever, that used to get very passionate in me defence of anything Steven Gerrard, really, because, I loved him as a player. He was fantastic, and obviously from my neck of the woods and all of that kind of stuff. And so I did like a bit of I think it was like coming back from town, and I thought, it'd be a good idea because this story's I think it was when he was retiring, or announced his retirement, or announced he was going to America, whatever it was. I thought it'd be a good idea to do like a live from the Anfield rap, like reacting to that and get some comments in and all that. And so I did that, and then there was some criticism, so it was like arguing with someone, and then some woman like put in the comments that it looked like I was on coke. And I proper kicked off, like, and was going, I'm not on coke, I've got 2 kids upstairs, how dare you, know what I mean, like a full thing, like. And then, when I woke up, when you think you're sober, and then when I woke up like a few hours later and watched it back, I was like, and loads of people absolutely buzzed off it, and I deleted it. But obviously plenty of people did see it, and so you'd get like people, it's like, it's like, I don't know, like some bootleg album of like Led Zeppelin or something that no one's got, you know what I mean, like where certain people have heard it or seen it, and there's a legend around it, but it's no longer on the internet anywhere, I hope. But I did another one of them as well, where I was talking about something else, and I think I was watching the snooker, and I was 3 sheets to the wind, like, and I left the live stream on. I said, I'll hang on, I'll be back in a minute. Left the live stream on, went upstairs, and in my mind thought, there's no way if you're, like, if my phone's in the living room and I've been live streaming there, you won't be able to hear me having a piss upstairs. Turns out you could. You can. So again, like, people said they were quite entertained by it, but it wasn't really like where me or anyone else was looking to take the rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
although I've said
I deleted that one as well.
Before, and I've suggested many times there should have been like a late night.
Yeah.
Like when they did Hollyoaks later, and you saw a bit of bra strap and that.
Yeah.
They should have done that. They definitely should have done on
the Brookside Late's still the best. I think I don't know if I've still got it on this computer now because I've changed laptops. But I've mentioned it before, but Brookside Late, I just loved that there was an episode where like a car had been robbed and it went over Harry Cross's garden, and I think it like crashed or whatever, and so like all his garden's fucked and there's this crashed car and whatever else, and he just opens the door and like surveys the scene and goes, fucking now.
We used to have that as a clip, didn't we? That was back in the day. Now we're closing in on 100 of the show. I think we should go back and get out all like the greatest hits.
Well, I was thinking
that we've done in our first 100 shows.
I don't mean to spoil like the surprise if you like. Well, it's not. I haven't written it, so. But I was thinking. I think I mentioned this to you. For this live event, if we can find somewhere to do it and make it happen and all the rest of it. I was thinking, obviously, the people who will turn up and can be asked to come to something like that are going to be like people who really like us and what we've done and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be fun to have a quiz like about stuff we've said in shows and stuff we talked about and all
idea,
that. And so I was thinking like it'd be a laugh to go back, and I was trying to recall bits and bobs that we had talked about, and thought it'd be quite funny that. Even things like what Chris won in the end and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
That's a great idea.
Or go back over one of the old facts or something.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like, if say it was like 40 people or whatever it might be, you could do the thing with like, left hand, right hand. So like everyone's taking part in it at first, then it's whittled down to 2. And then you could have like an overall champion who gets, I don't know, gets some kind of prize, a picture of your cock or something, I don't know.
Nice. The way you've only had a picture of my cock.
Well, it doesn't exist on the internet, but here it is in a frame.
That would be brilliant. They have to sign a disclaimer and say they won't put a picture of it on the internet. They could have it for their house.
Well, you'd be able to draw up the disclaimer because, you used to be a lawyer.
Yeah. Oh, that's fucking brilliant. How do you segue from that to talking about Quaveen Kelleher
Don't know.
Is there a stepping stone to that?
No, I can't think of a way to link that one, to be fair. Good though, isn't he?
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do. So I want to talk more about the match. I think Jeff, what a fucking jump that is. Look at the slickness of this podcast and my presenting skills. He's boss, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, again, Andrew Beasley, he tweeted something say, Liverpool don't just have the number one goalkeeper outperforming his rivals at Arsenal City. Their number two has been better than them too. So the two best goalies in the league, statistically, are Alisson and Kelleher. Third is Ederson. He's filtered this. Alisson's 1. Kelleher's 5th. Ederson's 9th. David Raya is 16th.
Wow.
So I saw him tweet after that saying our number 3 keeper's above Raya as well, off that one performance against Palace, which is probably a bit unfair. But
well, I heard today.
But he's an unbelievable number 2. I know we're not saying anything no one's ever said before, but he's just 2 saves. Such a good player.
2 saves, wasn't there, at the weekend? Like that's why, I mean, because of everything that's going on with Coop, we sort of like cast over the match a little bit. But what I really enjoyed about it was one of those games where I think afterwards you could sit down and you could say loads of names that had done well in one way or another. Yeah. It was a proper team performance, wasn't it? It was like, including Kelleher, who made 2 great saves, like, proper reaction saves where you were like, hell, he's done well there, like, do you know what I mean? And then when I saw them back, because they were the other end of the pitch to me, but like when I saw them back on the telly as well, I was like, bloody hell. And yeah, he's been brilliant, hasn't he? And like, he's definitely, and the stats prove it, he's definitely a Premier League goalie. And so you can totally understand why he's saying, look, lads, like, I'm made up that I was being at Liverpool and all the rest of it. I'm made up that I've contributed to winning a cup and even scored a penalty as well as saving one in a cup final. But I'm going to have to go and crack on with my career here. And, no one's going to have a problem with that. I don't think, Hardy. It's clear what the plan is, isn't it? Alisson signed a new deal, so he's the number 1. Marshmallow fella is going to come in and be number 2, and Kelleher's going to go somewhere else in the Premier League. It seems. But I heard Chelsea fans this afternoon on the radio saying, like, why don't we buy him?
Well, this is the thing I was going to say, but before we get on to that, I want to say,
because we need 9 keepers.
Yeah. We did. We had someone made a comment of the week because we mentioned this on a show a few weeks ago, and I weirdly was like, I don't get it. I don't understand why we're buying this other lad who's a £25 million goalie who is first choice for Valencia. We're going to buy him, and he's going to come in as our number 2, and he's all right with that. And we're going to lose Kelleher. And someone in the comments on YouTube said, because you just said what you said then in reply to me, like, he obviously wants first team footy. And someone in the comments said, thank God Robbo shut down that nonsense conversation. Like, where's Kobe come from? And for once I read the comments and went, yeah, I agree with you, mate. What the fuck am I talking about? It's obvious why Kelleher wants to go. And fair play to the club for going and getting a fucking boss number 2 again. Which seems to be, when you think about it actually, I think we used to have this thing in our heads that number 2 goalies were shit. But I think there are more and more goalies now seeing being a number 2 at a top club as being a viable thing. And because the top clubs need a boss number 2, it's just a thing now. But to come back to Kelleher, when you said about, he needs to go and get first team footy, bear in mind, we rejected I think it was a 15 million offer from Notts Forest in the summer. If I was Kelleher, I'd be like, no, I'm a Champions League goalie. Like, and I was going to ask you that, like, how high in the league do you think he could play? And so it's interesting that Chelsea fans are watching him going, why wouldn't we have him? Because if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd have him. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd have him. I think the stats support this. I think he's better than David Raya.
Well, the biggest compliment to him is that, he's come in, not just this time, but other times, and you've not really noticed that much of a difference, have you?
Again, and I heard someone say this, I think it's already the case this season. He played more games than Alisson last year. And I know I floated this, I don't know whether it was on a show or to you off air, but in the summer I went, I know it's a mad, I appreciate before I say this, before anyone starts shouting at me, I know it's a mad shout because Alisson is so good, but because of Alisson's injury record, there is a part of me that's like, but aren't you better keeping Kelleher? Because Kelleher's younger than him and gets injured less. Alisson gets a lot of injuries for a goalie, and I know he's brilliant, but that's a big risk to have your best goalie injured half the season. But I think it does put you in a bit of a sort of no-win position, because what are you going to do? Let the world's best goalie go? You're never going to do that.
And look, he's suffered injuries, and this season, this season they've played the same number, haven't they now? So they both played 8 games this season. But no, I mean,
and there was talk of Alisson being back for the Madrid game, wasn't there?
The most Kelleher's played in a season's 26, which was last season. Alisson played 32.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was league games,
and then
he played more than him.
Yeah, it might have been. But overall in each season, he's been, since... So Alisson's been here since 18-19 season, and he's played 51, 37, 42, 54, 47, 32, and 8. So it's, it's perhaps not as bad as...
Yeah.
Whereas
those numbers are better than I thought.
And then Kelleher's 8 this season, 26 last season, so obviously significant there. But before that, 4, 8, 5, 4. Do you know what I mean? So the long-term trend has been he doesn't really get a sniff.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's coming from. And then it's a bit mad, isn't it? Like, I don't pay too much attention to international football because it's largely shit. But it's mad that, like, he's knocking around as second choice for us, but his first choice for his country as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's like everything just points to he needs to go. He needs to go, doesn't he? He needs to go somewhere and play every week.
The mad thing is, though, Joey, sorry to interrupt you. Imagine if he ends up at Chelsea and we're facing him, and he'll be fucking boss against us because he's a boss goal, and he'd be like, fucking hell, lad.
But
because he'd really help them.
I do think though that there is still like he's good, he's really good, and he's definitely Premier League quality. But equally, I do think like there's Alisson's just got that extra bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Alisson just like makes saves that stick in your head where you're like was it Napoli? I think.
Yeah.
When we qualified for the next stage of the Champions League that time, and you were like.
Well, I know you disagreed with me on this, but it was funny because in the week after it, I spoke to someone else, and the first thing they said to me was, I think Alisson would have saved that first one against Arsenal, And I was like, mate, I said a similar thing, because the thing about that level of keeping, I think that's where Kelleher's got to get to next is, and don't get me wrong, he already makes saves that you don't expect most keepers to make, but Alisson makes saves like Schmeichel did that win you games and win you tournaments, and that's where like the point that someone else made to me about that first Arsenal goal, the Saka one. He said Alisson's so good that he would read, and look, it doesn't mean he would have saved it, but he would read that Saka's skinned Robertson and he'd be out like a fucking flash. So it's not that he would have necessarily pulled off a save once the shot had been released. He'd have just smothered it. He might not have got that far because he'd have been on him so aggressively. And I agree with you completely. Like that's why he is still the number one. But fair play to him, and I think if I was a Chelsea fan, I would be like, fucking buy him. And if I was Kelleher, I wouldn't accept going somewhere other than a really top club. Even if I had to go abroad, he should be playing in the Champions League, I think. Someone else wants to mention, and this is obviously after the Leverkusen game rather than the Villa game, but James Pearce tweeted, Luis Diaz netted 13 goals in 23-24, one every 278 minutes. So far this season, he's got 9 goals, one every 96 minutes. And he said Slot's track record of developing players was key to his appointment, and he's certainly taken the Colombians game to the next level. Another reminder that we talked, didn't we, about the potential to get rid of Diaz and bring in Gordon from Newcastle. And it's just funny, isn't it? And something else we all talked about, or I talked about, especially talking about Núñez and whether Slot could improve Núñez and his scoring rate without thinking of Diaz. And the reality is he's transformed Diaz into another level up, hasn't he? His
and
goal scoring.
Not just him. I mean, this was another conversation from the weekend that I was having where I was saying, there's like a new narrative now that like there was first of all, if we go back to the start of the season, no one tipped Liverpool to win the league or even challenge for the league. And, I haven't looked it up, but I will do later in this week because it's on my mind about, how many pundits in that BBC thing went Liverpool. Not many of them, I know that for sure. Then it changed to this thing of, well, you haven't paid anyone. Well, now we've played loads of people who were good, and we played sides who've then gone on and beat good sides as well. Do you know what I mean? Keep seeing that, and I know that's a bit of a school playground type argument. Well, we beat AC Milan, and they beat Real Madrid, so we're better than you.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, though. Like it's like we beat Brighton, and then Brighton went and beat City.
Yeah.
Oh look, Brighton are a good side then.
Yeah.
Well, we know, yeah, because we just went to that game last week and they were good, and like they could have easily won, and yet we turned it around and won. But so we've moved to that narrative, and now we have played hard, and now it's like he's still doing dead well, he's still breaking all these records, and now it's quite a lot. But he inherited a good side though, didn't he? Why can't there just be a thing of saying, do you know what, he might be fucking good? Do you know what I mean? Because there's plenty of evidence to say so. So Diaz gone up a level. Gravenberch suddenly solving number 6, which no one was saying. I'm not having that. No one was saying he's going to come in and it's solved by just playing him there every week.
Mate, I'd go as far as saying not one person.
No.
If anybody out there can show me that they were saying this before Slot came in and played him there, I don't know about any single person. People weren't even saying he should be first choice in the position we bought him in.
People were saying, rightly, like, I'm not sure.
Tuchel let him go from Munich because he wasn't a number 6. Like, he needed a 6. It's like, fucking hell. Slot comes in and goes, watch this. And when you see him...
as well.
Canate.
You know, Curtis Jones.
Yeah.
There's like, there's players right through the side who suddenly got better, suddenly gone up a level, suddenly being more consistent, suddenly added a bit more. Like, one of the frustrations with Diaz always was, well, we know we can beat 1,001 fellas, we know we can run forever, we know it's like virtually impossible sometimes to get the ball off. But what about goals, though? What about the finishing? That was the bit that was letting him down, wasn't it? And then all of a sudden now, he's whacking them in for fun.
Did you see there was a Slot interview with Sander Westerveld that was on the internet. I don't know who did it, TNT maybe. But it just came up on my phone while I was watching something else, and it just rolls on to another video, and it came up and I was listening to it. And he said something interesting in it because, you know, he's quite engaging with the media, and he tells them it sounds like he's telling them quite a lot. And I've heard people criticise that like they do with Pep Linders in the past. But he said to Westerveld about, he asked him about the media, and he said, yeah, he said, like, you know, almost, I give them a bit, but I'm not telling them everything that's going on behind the scenes. And because I've seen him asked about, like, Diaz, how has he improved him? And he's just like, well, and one of his stock answers, if you get onto it, is, well, I wasn't here last year. Whenever he gets asked anything, he's like, well, I don't know what they're doing differently to be better now because I wasn't here last year. But that cleverly gets him out of answering the question. And I think one of the things, I'm not the first to say this, the difference with Diaz now is, Diaz used to just be like this winger who worked that hard and beat men and all of that. But I think we all underestimate this. By the time you get in front of goal, you're knackered because you've run for fucking 50 yards. Whereas now he's arriving in front of goal with great chances being created for him. That wasn't happening before, and his finishing ability is better off the back of that. So that's got to be about the coaching. That's got to be about the team setup.
Gakpo's another one as well, isn't he? Because, you know, I know it was like a bit of a second stringy side in the League Cup against Brighton away, but the stuff he was doing was stuff that on a very basic level I've been going, why doesn't he use his strength? He's a big fucker. Use your power, use your strength. And okay, he was up against like Lamptey or something, so like, you know, he's significantly bigger than him. He's going to have a physical advantage. But, you know, Forest game being a case in point, there are times where I felt in the past like he pulls out, you know, like their goal at Anfield, he goes like this and puts his arms out and lets the fella run past him. I'd take the fucker out. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Take the free kick. And like, I feel as though they've maybe had a word with him about that, and that he is using his physicality a little bit more. He's obviously benefiting from actually having a position now as well. So he was like, you know, he was left, he was through the middle, he was false nine, he was even in midfield. Now you're left. You're on the left side, lad. That's your job. That's your role. Oh, okay, sound. I know where I'm at now. So he's another one that you can say he's improved. And look, you know, Jones, I'm going to say it again because there's still weirdos who don't like him. He's sticking it to everyone who didn't rate him, isn't he? And like this weird thing of, oh yeah, you only pick him up because of where he's from or whatever. That, you know, I can think of at least 2 people who've regularly messaged me about that over the however long he's been playing for us. Well, look what he's doing. Look how well he's playing. Look at what the manager's saying. And also, we were poo-pooed in the comments for suggesting he's playing that well that actually Szoboszlai could lose his place to him. That's never going to happen. It's happened. So yeah, he's doing a brilliant job, isn't he? And I genuinely believe that it's not being spoken about enough outside of the bubble. Like, it's like Liverpool are doing well, but it's like, I don't know, another reason. Do you know what I mean? Including now, Arsenal and City aren't doing well.
Yeah.
Well, that's them. But we're on course for 95 points, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like at the rate we've been going.
Yeah. Well, it's the 12th best. We said in the main show, it's the 12th best start of all time in the Premier League. Well, that's got nothing to do with Arsenal and City, has it? And it was funny because I thought one of the things you were going to mention before, Joe, in the list of things that are in the way of this being that actually we should be getting carried away, or it's any good or any of that. And it popped into my head, and Slot even referenced this after the game, and I love the way he gets ahead of these things very calmly. He was just like, yeah, we haven't played the people you would expect to be in the top 6. We haven't played many of them away from home yet. And I was like, well, hang on. We've played of the big away games that you class as big away games. We've been to Old Trafford and won, and this is I think that's an important one, because the reality is Amorim comes in now during this international break.
It becomes more difficult.
You would expect Man United at Old Trafford to become more difficult. So are Arsenal and City going to go to Old Trafford and win now? Well, we did. Are Chelsea going to go there and win? Well, we did. We've already been to the Emirates, one of our direct rivals, and we got a draw. They didn't beat us there. And I thought, well, hang on. We've only played, what is it in the league? 11 games.
11, yeah.
And we've played 2 of the big away games. Well, how many big away games do people expect you to have in those 11? So I thought, I'm going to look up who have City and Arsenal played. And City have been, and it depends, again, what are you classing as a big away game? City have only played away at Chelsea, first game of the season, which was the best time to play them before they'd settled in. And they won there, in fairness. And they've been away to Newcastle, if you class that as a tough away game. Arsenal have been away to Villa, City, Spurs, Chelsea and Newcastle. So, in fairness, they have had some tough away games. At the end of the day, though, they didn't pick up points in most of them. They beat Villa. They beat Spurs, didn't they? But I think they drew with City, drew with Chelsea, lost at Newcastle. So even with that, it's like, okay, well, are people expecting us to go to these places and fall apart when it's our turn to go there? This is the thing, like, Joe, we're this far ahead now. We're 9 ahead of Arsenal, 5 ahead of City. People are like, well, Liverpool will drop points as the season goes on. And you're like, yeah. Do you think this City and this Arsenal side are going to win every game from here on in?
They're both capable of a run, obviously. But the idea that, as you say, that they're suddenly going to be perfect from nowhere, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think, what's happened already feeds into the minds of every team that now plays both of them, where they'll go, we've got a chance here. And they'll watch back all the stuff when they, they'll watch what Brighton were doing. They watch, every defeat will be analysed, and it boosts everyone's chances, doesn't it? Yeah. Like, oh, they did that. Well, actually, oh, they don't like you're doing this. And look, the whole. We were looking at this. We literally did a show the other week where we were looking at it and we were saying, okay, like it has been fairly kind, but once we get to like the Chelsea game, it ramps up then, doesn't it? So we were saying, oh, well, we've got Chelsea at home, we've got Leipzig away, we've got Arsenal away, we've got Brighton away in the League Cup, Brighton at home, then we've got Leverkusen, they're great, they won the league, they were unbeaten, then we've got Villa. And we fucking flew through all of it. We beat Chelsea 2-1, we won 1-0 away to Leipzig, we drew 2-2 with Arsenal, beat Brighton in the Cup, beat Brighton in the league, beat Leverkusen, tonked Leverkusen, beat Aston Villa 2-0. And like the mad thing is though, like the other side, international break now, isn't it? Shite. But then we've got Southampton away, which given the shit you would expect us to win. But then after that, it's Real Madrid, it's Man City, it's Newcastle away, it's Everton away, it's Girona away. You know what I mean? There's another spell where you're like, that looks hard. But we've just done a hard spell and we were sound. And we've got lads to come back, like we were saying on the other show as well. I mean, like, saying like we're on for 95 points, There's 81 points left to play for.
Yeah.
And we've got 28.
Yeah.
So, there's room to manoeuvre in terms of losing games, drawing games, whatever. Because this is the thing as well, that, again, not maybe being talked about enough is, okay, Man City and Arsenal, by their standards, have had a dip. But City have only lost 2 games and drawn 2 games in the league. What makes it look worse is that we've been boss. You know what I mean? We've won 9, drawn 1, lost 1. We've got a goal difference of 15 as well, another thing that's not being mentioned, which is way better than City's 9 and way better than Arsenal's 6. And in the past, that's been an issue, hasn't it? That's won you the league.
It's a point.
Yeah.
I've always said this. It's a point. Even at this stage, come the end of the season, we've been in that position against City. It turns into a point come the end of the season. So it's important.
Yeah, of course it is. So all the metrics, all the pointers, including most of all, best of all, the league table, suggest this is serious shit now. Like I was saying to Carrot in the ground, because he's into his math. Well, he's doing maths and further maths at A level, so he's into maths. It's fair to say. I was like, "What's 11 as a percentage of 38?" And he's just like looking at me, going, "Why are you asking me this in the middle of a match?" And I'm like, "Because after this, we've played 11, and there's only 38 in the season in the league." And he's like, I don't know off the top of my head. And then it's about 28% anyway.
Yeah, it's over a quarter of the way through.
So 28% of the season's gone, done, in the bag, and we're 5 points clear of Man City. Yeah. Fucking taking that all day.
And this is worth saying. So we come back after the international break. We play Southampton on the Sunday. And this is important. I mentioned my brother-in-law was an Arsenal fan. I had an interesting exchange with him a couple of weeks ago where he was saying all the refs are against and all that. And I was like, look, mate, I think it's 2 things. 1, they're incompetent. And 2, it's confirmation bias. Every group of fans thinks everything is against them. So it's important to break confirmation bias, that you acknowledge when it's gone in your favour. So when we come back from the international break, our game against Southampton is 2 o'clock on the Sunday, which means we get that extra day after the international break, which is important because everybody struggles off the back of an international break. I saw the United lads talking about Ferguson used to say to them, your heads, I don't know what the phrase was, something like your heads are all full of cabbages and chickens when you come back from international footy, because you've all been out there listening to all different managers say all different things, and it takes a while for you to get back into what we're meant to be doing here. And you can see that, can't you, for everybody? So we've got an extra day. We play Southampton, and as you say, that's a game you expect us to win. That they're not a terrible side, but you'd expect us to beat them. They're not doing very well. Spurs that same weekend play. City that same weekend play Spurs at 5:30 on the Saturday. Now Spurs are fucking. Well, I don't know even what the phrase to use is. Spursy. They're all over the place this year, aren't they? They're very Spursy. But
losing to Ipswich at home is very Spursy.
Yeah, but City away is the type of game that suits Spurs, isn't it? Especially a City team that's got injuries and struggling.
Yeah, they've done right against them
high press. Even if they go there and get a draw.
Beat them in the cup, didn't they? But kind of felt like City to do that in a bit.
Yeah, but then that's the week of, we play Real Madrid on the Wednesday. They play Feyenoord at home on the Tuesday. And look, that's an easier game for them than it is for us. And at the same time, they need to win their Champions League games. They haven't had a great start in the Champions League, so they have to win that game. So if they're still struggling for players, that's 3 big games in a week for them too. And they get the extra day's rest on us, but we don't play until the Sunday, 4 o'clock. So we still get plenty of rest Wednesday to Sunday to play them. So imagine if we beat Southampton. Dream weekend, they drop points against Spurs. But even if they don't, we beat Southampton, but they beat Spurs. We go into our game at home with them 5 points clear. The game against them is the 1st of December. So going into December, we go into Anfield at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, going, if we beat Man City today, we're 8 ahead of them. We know what happened that year we won the league, where we got ahead of them and we started looking them in the eyes going, go ahead then, see if you can fucking catch us now. We're not chasing you anymore. And what happened as that season went on, you could see them going, and especially if they're struggling with injuries, and Guardiola's thinking, I'm not going to be staying at this club much longer. What's he thinking then? I want to win the Champions League. That's what he's thinking. Whether he'll never admit it, but at that point you're thinking 8 points behind this Liverpool team. All right, we've still got to play them in our place. They've still got some tough games, but we've got tough games. they've still got to go away to Arsenal. It's like, that's when you start going, okay, you can start pulling away. So it's a huge week when we come back from that break, from this break.
And City still 7th favourites to be relegated.
Do you know what? Isn't it funny? We've forgotten all about that, haven't we?
Yeah.
But this is the other thing.
writes the biggest drum banger of that.
He's
like,
got
it's his thing.
Yeah.
Like, so like, he
watching the odds.
You know, so we were watching the game, and obviously everyone's absolutely like, you know, over the moon. Brighton win, come back from 1 down, weren't they, to win 2-1. And like, it was coming, wasn't it? I don't know if you watched that game, but like, it was like,
I was watching it. Yeah,
you knew it was coming. It was like, it's coming. And then it obviously goes off in the pub, and then straight away afterwards, he was like, They know that they're getting done. They know that's what it is. He said, I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced they know. And he's like, they all know it's right through the club. And he's like, and those odds are still there. You know what I mean? Someone somewhere knows.
Well, I was like, just thinking this. Do you know last season when once Everton had won a few games and they looked like they were all right, you could sense in their club, it was like, this is a good season to get a points deduction. And if you're a City now, if you're the lawyers, right, chatting to the commercial team, chatting to the football operations team, aren't you looking at each other going, especially if we beat them, right, and we're 8 clear, aren't you looking at each other going, let's go to the Premier League and do a deal? We'll take a 20-point deduction this season. We're already not going to win the league. Yeah. So, okay, we drop out the Champions League, but we don't get relegated. We save our skin, we accept something, and then we get on with it. And we just write off this season in the Premier League. I mean, they say to Pep, and it doesn't affect the Champions League. So all you need to do is keep us in the league this year, which is fucking easy for you, and just go after the Champions League. That's not beyond the realms of possibility that happens, is it? The
best odds you can get, like, you know, so odds checker where you're getting like the odds for absolutely shitloads of bookies. The best odds on them you can get on City at 12-1 to go down.
To go down?
Yeah.
It's wild, that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you know, I'm Bournemouth are like 66 and Forest 50. You know what I mean? It's like,
so at the very least, there's a lot of money going on them to get relegated.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that could be bollocks in itself, but
could be, but it might not be.
Yeah, interesting.
And yet the other thing to just mention as well about sort of Liverpool's performance and where we're at, and you know why it's good and all the rest of it, is 11 games played in the Premier League, 6 goals conceded.
Yeah,
like, you know, that's unbelievable. Like, City have conceded 13 in the same number of games. Arsenal have conceded, what have they conceded? 12.
Well, again, I was chatting to a mate about this yesterday about starting to understand how slot works and how, do you know, we had such a good injury record at Feyenoord. And when you watch it, think about, like, a Jurgen Klopp game tended to be at least 90 minutes, didn't it? The lads were legging it round for at least, and then you start to get this long stoppage time. You're like, 95, 100 minutes, you lads are fucking putting it in. Slots type of footy, the number of times in a game you're watching them thinking, they're resting here. Like, I'd love to see the running stats compared to Slots running stats. So you've got 3 types of resting going on. You've got resting in the game, where they're just keeping the ball and being like, just slow down, lads, it's okay, rest here. Then you've got players, because we're winning games earlier a lot of time, players being subbed early in games, so they're not playing a full 90 anyway. And then you get an actual rotation, so they miss a game. And think about all of that building up. And at the same time, because of actual rotation and people coming on as subs, all the lads are keeping in a rhythm. So we've seen Gomez play really well already. Quansar's had a couple of games. Simicas we haven't mentioned him. Simicas from nowhere. Slot's gone, I like you. Like, rotating him with Robertson as if they're equals. And in fairness to him, I know we've seen a bit of a decline in Robertson. You're not seeing much difference between the two, are you? Like,
done when Simicas,
he's done okay. So the only one in there that I am watching, and he looks fit, touch wood, and he looks like, and he's young and he looks robust. But the only one is Gravenberch, where you're thinking, you're not really getting a rest here, mate. Do you know what I mean? You're playing most games.
That's the way you're like, there's still a gap there, isn't there?
Yeah, because we've lost him.
But he's even started, like, we were saying a few weeks ago, or I remember it, saying, well, he obviously doesn't fancy Endo, does he? But now Endo's starting to get
some minutes
here and there, isn't he? And all that. And So yeah, I think he's managing pretty much everything, like really well right now. It's all dead encouraging, isn't it? It's like, you can't wait to see what's next, and that's why it's a shame. And I knew we were going to be saying this. It's a shame that we've got another fucking international break because there's absolutely shit. But yeah, there were definitely stats that said we're spending a lot less time in the opposition's box now. Because that's what I've noticed. Like, I think it was Leverkusen where I was saying to Cara, like, because he was like, nothing's really happening here, is it? Like, do you know what I mean? And like, feels like they're having a fair bit of the ball. And I was like, they are. I said, but they're not creating nothing. Nah, there's not. There was the handball dingo chance. What's his name? Frimpong. Obviously handball. So that was that. But they had the ball, but it was like we were happy for them to have it almost. Do you know what I mean? And like, it was like we're just having a bit of a rest, really. We're just having a bit of a look at we're sitting in our shape. We'll back ourselves to do that. You knock the ball around. You do whatever you're doing. You knock yourselves out, and when we see the moment, we'll pounce and we'll go for it. And it was similar against Villa, really, wasn't it? It was like Villa are obviously a decent side, but 3 or 4 times. It was like I mean, that was quite Kloppy, really, wasn't it? Like, the red arrows thing where all of a sudden it was like fuck off, and everyone's running at them, and like they were fortunate in the end that it wasn't more than 2. I mean, if feels like I always have to be the fella to pick on him, but if Nunes could finish,
well, I'd put him in here to have a chat about. We'll talk about him before we go on to the maestro that he. If he's not fucking trying to learn off him in training, he should be. Andrew Beasley again said Nunes has scored or assisted in 5 of his 7 starts this season, which is all right, isn't it? But that game showed it in a microcosm, didn't it? That's Nunes. That's the Nunes we've seen. Like, scores a goal that you're like, he follows that one in, takes it, looks like a heavy touch, seems like he's gone too far wide, and then just slots it. And then another one a few minutes later where he's through on goal. And I reckon if you'd have paused it, and did a quick vote of all Liverpool fans and said, what do you reckon the odds are of him scoring here? Compare and contrast with when Salah goes through in the second half and you're all there going, goal. When Nunes goes through.
When he went through the one he scores, I was going, square it!
Salah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the difference between them. Like, not just this, there's the difference. There's obviously a massive difference, but we're going to go on to talk about Salah. If you look at Nunes when he goes through one-on-one, and in fairness, I think it might be Lucy Ward on TNT. The mad shout about Martinez aside, I think she's a really good co-commentator, and she'd already said, like, when he scored the goal, Nunes is great when he doesn't have to think.
Doesn't have to think. Yeah, I agree.
It's just there, instinctive.
Yeah.
But as soon as he's through on goal and he's got all the time in the world to think about it, I'm like, he's not going to score this. He's got so many things he could do. His head goes fucking mad. Salah, on the other hand, as he's bearing down a goal, have you watched it back? Because I know in the game it goes...
Where he's just pausing.
He's just waiting and waiting.
Looking at the keeper,
and he's watching the keeper, but he's watching the centre-back as well. Because the centre-back comes for him. And you can see Salah's thinking, well, if you come for me, I'm just going to square it. So at the last second, I think it's Conte, he goes, I'm going to go to the line instead of coming to you. And Salah's like, in that split second, Salah changes his mind of what to do and goes, I'll just slot it then. I don't need to pass it. I can just... Because he's calm in his mind as he's approaching the goal. He's weighing up his options. He's fine. He's
the celebrations boss as well, isn't it?
He's just... Well, let's go into talking about him because there's not much to say about Nunes, is there? And I know we've done this before and you and I are both fucking huge fans and all that, but it's wild. I've seen other people say this, like, fair play to FSG that you want to hold off. You want to see how he starts the season. He wants to see what it's like under Slot. Surely now there is no question about whether or not you want to keep this player. Just to fire through some stats. Mo Salah has 10 assists in 17 appearances for Liverpool this season. It's the earliest any Liverpool player has reached double figures for assists in all competitions in the last 40 seasons. The previous fastest was 18 appearances by John Barnes in 87-88. John fucking Barnes, who was a winger whose job it was to just assist. To add to that, 10 and 10 and Opta Joe, that came from Michael Reed, that stat. Opta Joe, 10 and 10, Mo Salah is the first player to reach double figures for both goals, 10, and assists, 10, for a Big Five European League side in all competitions this season, while the Egyptian has now achieved this in each of his last 4 seasons for Liverpool. Unplayable. And then this one may be my favourite of all the stats, of ridiculous stats I'm reading out. Mo Salah has now registered 10 plus goals and 10 plus assists across all competitions in 7 out of 8 seasons at Liverpool. And you know, in the one season he didn't get 10 in both, he only got 6 assists only, but he scored 31 goals. So he got 37 goal contributions. That's the only season he failed to get 10 and 10. It's what a footballer. It's crazy. There's another one from Andrew Beasley that I loved. So 17 appearances this season for Salah, 10 goals, 10 assists. Liverpool have conceded 9 goals with Salah on the pitch during the season. So he's outscored the opposition and assisted more goals than them in the games he's played. He's outscored the entirety of the opposition we've played. And I know that's not just about him. And then the last one, before we talk about him properly, and I saw this stat before he scored against Villa, so it'll be 59 now. 59 goal contributions since the start of last season. In that time, he didn't get nominated for the Premier League Player of the Team, or Premier League Player of the Season, and he didn't get nominated for the Ballon d'Or. And they just asked the question, underrated. And I'm like, what can you say about this fella? Like, how can we not sign him again?
Well, yeah, if I said to you, so there's a fella, and he's playing in, not the Premier League, he's not the Premier League, but a league in Europe that's considered decent. And he's played 13 matches in the league, and he scored 14 goals. 14 goals in 13 matches in the league. And then in the Champions League, he's played 4 matches, and he scored 5 goals. Would you say that was good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, innit? Good stats.
Yeah.
So that's Lewandowski, and he's 36.
Yeah.
So you telling me Mo can't do that? Because it's all the stuff we always say. The nick he's in is unbelievable. His strength, I actually think he's stronger than he probably was before.
Yeah.
That's how it looks when I watch him play.
Yeah.
Because it's like he may have lost a bit of his pace, so he knows he's got to hold the ball up better. So he's gone, all right, I'll go and get stronger in the gym then. And he is. And I've seen big rocks trying to get him on the floor, and they don't. They can't, because he's dead strong. And you see him to Kelleher going, like, put it on my chest. I'm all right.
I'll hold it. Yeah,
I'll have it. And then, you know, the goal's unbelievable. Like you say, that felt like an age watching that from the cop. It's like, what's he doing? Why is he hanging on to it? Was it sound? And then he does the like Gordon Strachan style celebration sitting on the horns, which is superb as well. You know, like he's not daft, is he, in any sense? Like it's like he knows by doing the celebration he gets on the back of all the papers and all the rest of it. And look, you know, if all of this is a bit of a game, well, he's winning, isn't he? You know, and there's you've got the banner on the cop at the weekend, FSG. He fires a bow. Now give Mo his dough. This is where we're all at as a fan base. And so if he goes, have him, like he's already pulling out amazing stats of the season, you can only guess that they're going to continue in the same trajectory. So if we get to the end of the season, whatever happens, and his stats are amazing and the performances continue in the same manner and he's allowed to go, people are going to be fucking up in arms. And you're going to have to wheel out John Henry, and he's going to have to say something, isn't he? It's going to be that kind of anger, I think, in the fan base if he's allowed to go. So they've got a problem on their hands. And, you know, if the problem is he wants to be, he wants to be paid even more than he's already on, he wants, his agent saying he should be in line with X or Y in Europe, FSG, you're going to have to think of something to say. Whether it's just like, well, we just simply can't afford it, or whether it's we think he's too old, whatever it is, whatever the reasoning behind it is, you're going to have to say something if he walks out of this club when he's posting figures like that, because it's unbelievable, isn't it? So yeah, I just want him signed up, like every Red does, surely. I don't think there's any, it doesn't feel to me like when the Saudis were sniffing and offering mad dough and all that, you had like some quarters saying, we'll take the money. No one's saying take the money now, Hardy. No one's saying I'd be happy to see him walk out the door. Every conversation I see here and etc. about him is, how do you replace him? Like, if he goes, then what? And there's always that like bit of a smart ass answer about, oh, you replace him by upgrading across the pitch or whatever. I just think he's the absolute talisman of Liverpool, isn't he? Like, if Mo Salah's in your side, you're like, we can win today. Mo Salah will pull something out the bag. And he look like any player that sometimes his form dips and all the rest of it, but his mentality is unbelievable, I just think. And it's like, you want this player in your side. In every respect, you know, he's an absolute superstar. There's no one who's saying otherwise, certainly not who supports Liverpool. So they've just got to get it done, haven't they?
100%. And it's what you just said, it's the same works the other way around, doesn't it? We all want him in our side, and guess what all the opposition don't want? I've often said this, haven't I? Like, if you want to know what decision to make in your football club, ask your opponents. Like, ask your opponent, think about it. If Man United, when they had Solskjaer, had asked all their big opponents, what do you think we should do? We were all saying, keep him.
Yeah.
Ten Hag, what do you think we should do? Keep him.
Yeah.
We're all fucking made up when they fucking say he's staying. Yes, fucking get in. He gets sacked. And I sort of watched the overlap you were on, and the fan debate thing, and the City fan who we've met in his sound, like, and he was like, I'm still mourning Ten Hag being sacked, to be honest. It's like, yeah, Amarim is coming in, and we're all a bit like, oh, fucking hell,
Yeah,
he
could
be
mean
good
they're
in.
half decent again, yeah.
But guess what? You ask every fucking fan of another club, City, Arsenal, do you want Liverpool to keep Mo Salah? They'd be like, nah, hope to get rid of him. And imagine, would City, I mean, big question. Do you think, would Man City take Mo Salah on a free? I think they probably would. On 350 grand a week, 400 grand a week. I think they'd say, thanks very much, we'll have him for 3 years on a free. Because this is the other thing. If I'm FSG, I'm looking at it going, PR-wise, and we know they've made massive PR mistakes in the past. But if we let Salah go and we don't renew, we're going to have to go out and buy someone big to placate them. So I'm thinking, Joe, the Sporting Lisbon centre forward, I don't know how you say his name, Giaqueres or something. Yeah. And he's apparently got a clause, he can get out for 60 odd million, 65 million. Well, at the very least, you need to go and get him. Well, that's going to cost you 65 million off the fucking bat.
And then his wages.
And I always give John Henry credit for this. It was he was like the first person who ever made this point. When he came in, he was talking about building a new Anfield. And he said, people talk about us building a 60,000, 65,000 seater Anfield. And he went, but when you hear that, right, when people say that, it makes you sound like we're getting 60,000 new seats, but we're not, because we've already got 45,000 seats. So we'd be spending all that money just to get an extra 15,000 or 20,000 seats. We need to think about that. That doesn't stack up. It's the same with this, isn't it? It's not that if you let Salah go and you don't pay him, you then get a player in that could be good enough to replace him, that you don't have to pay any money to. You're going to have to, if you buy that Giaqueres or whatever his name is, you're going to have to pay him 200 grand a week. So the difference between him and Salah is what, 150 grand a week? That's the difference we're talking about. Is it not worth keeping the guy who, by any stretch, by any parameter, by any statistic, is proven? Exactly. We know what he's going to deliver.
And you know, the only other, you know, if you're trying to work it out, you know, as the fan who's not privy to the conversations, etc., you know, you're like, so, you know, why isn't this getting sorted then? And it's like, okay, well, it's his age, etc., and things like that. And they think, you know, all of a sudden he might sort of like melt away and be this pain in the arse with loads of injuries or whatever. Well, okay then. So since he's been here, he's played 366 games for Liverpool. 17 this season already. 44 last season. 51 the season before. 51 the season before that. 51 the season before that. 48 the season before that. 52 the season before that. And 52 in his first season. It's not there, is it? He's robust. Touch wood. You know what I mean? He more often than not, he's there. More often than not, he starts. More often than not, he puts in a performance. More often than not, he's assisting, he's scoring, or he's causing problems. I just don't see the logic now. And like I say, you know, there are literally other top players in Europe who look after themselves, performing at a good level, and he is part of that crew. You know, if we don't sign him up, someone else will. And like there's this, there's this constant assumption, I think, of like, oh, well, he's bound to go to Saudi. I still just don't see it. I just don't see how a man like him, who's so driven by records, by trophies, by being the best, would want to go and play in some pub league for money. He's not sure to do anyway, but he seems driven by the sport and aspect, and about the aspect of being the best. And I genuinely think what he wants is to stay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree.
So they've got to make it happen. And out of the three of them, contract watch, out of the three of them, right now, Virgil looks like the old Virgil. You know what I mean? Like, Virgil's playing that well, that teams are doing that thing again where they're trying to avoid him, aren't they? But unfortunately, it's the rock and unstoppable force, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
Because they're swerving away from Van Dijk, and they're going the target and Canate, who's in brilliant form. So all the best, lads, and that's why we've only conceded 6 in the league. So he's in great form. He's in great nick as well. He's another durable player. He's the captain. Everything else, again, just feels like you've got to sign him up. You've got to sign him up. How are you not signing him up? And it doesn't feel like he's fishing for a move. Doesn't feel like he's been, fluttering his eyelashes at someone else for the last year or so. So that feels like another one. Get it done. Obviously, the Trent one's the one where you think he's probably going to go. Everything points to that, doesn't it? It's like, I heard McManaman talking about it, and obviously it was quite a good idea to get him on the mic, wasn't it? Given that he literally left in very similar circumstances and went to the club that we all expect Trent to go to. And I thought a lot of what he said was quite fair, to be fair. He was saying, well, he'll be 26 or whatever, and you sign a 5-year deal, you're 31.
Yeah, your career's at Liverpool, basically.
Yeah. And he was like, so this is his last chance to go somewhere else, isn't it? And it's like, and it just, there's been various, like, in the village of Liverpool with, people who say they know people and all the rest of it. You get all these texts and messages, and you're not sure whether they come from anywhere that we should trust or whatever. But certainly some of the talk on the street, and look, I'm not in the know, I'm just passing on something that I heard, but some of the talk is big contracts are being put in front of Trent's nose, and
well, did you hear the thing? I don't think we talked about this on the show. Or maybe you told me, actually. So you remind me about the Ballon d'Or thing. That's something Real Madrid say. To players.
I was saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, they literally say to them, "Come here to win the Ballon d'Or." Yeah. Now
and that's why they were like walking out and everything, because when Vinicius Junior didn't get it.
Nick is in a twist. But I mean, I think, fair play. Look, I'm never going to be one to tell someone they shouldn't dream big and all that, but I think it's a mad dream for a right back, because think about the great right backs we've seen in the history of football. Like, they didn't win the Ballon d'Or, and guess why? Because imagine I might have said this on a show already, so apologies if I did, but you used to be repeating myself by now. If you're in a team with Bellingham, Vinicius Junior and Mbappe, and you win the Champions League and you've had a great season, you're not going to win the Ballon d'Or, mate. One of them's going to win it, because that's just the way it fucking works. Yeah. But at the same time, on the flip side of it, I was, again, chatting to someone else earlier on about this. Someone showed me I didn't realise this, and things like this I do think are important. He's dating Jude Law's daughter, who's a model, who's clearly not from Liverpool. And even things like that, it's like, well, where does she want to live for the next 5 years? Wouldn't she rather be in Madrid than be in Merseyside or Cheshire, wherever they live now? But then the other side of it as well is, I do have a little sneaking suspicion. Do you know, when you think how often Slot, since he first came in, and he's been very clever to like always give Klopp credit and say, we're only going to make tweaks. The one tweak he's always said since he first came in the summer was, I'm going to talk to the players more about risk and reward. And the number of times I see Trent now playing one of his Hollywood passes, and don't get me wrong, when they come off, they're brilliant. They're like when Gerrard did them, and they're unbelievable. I'm never going to criticise him. And at the same time, when he gives the ball away doing it, you can sort of see Slot going, lad, just keep the ball. Just keep the ball. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that of the three of them, Trent's the one Slot would be like, I don't need him. I don't need a best player in the world at right back. I'm all right with Conor Bradley. Like, he's solid. He's a good defender. He's good going forward. and he just does the basics for me. It actually gives me a problem having someone as good as Trent playing right back, because he wants to play those passes, and I think he can play the passes. But sometimes we just need to keep the ball from there. And the other side of it is, Slot's made him a better defender, which we all said he could do, and he has. But if I'm Trent, I'm thinking, well, I've become a better defender, but I'm definitely not winning a Ballon d'Or playing like this in this team, am I? Like, look at him this season. He's not even getting the numbers he used to get under Klopp, is he? He's not getting forward as much. He's not getting those assist numbers he used to have. He's not scoring goals. So I think everything points to Trent will leave. And I actually think if out of the three of them, sadly, because he's a local lad and all that, and I think he's brilliant, I think he's the one we can afford to leave. I think the other two, we can't.
Yeah.
Because to replace them, I think we've already got Trent's replacement. To replace Salah or Van Dijk is going to cost you a lot of money, and there's no guarantee it works. So yeah, we're out of time. We've gone over. We didn't mention, but so I'll throw it in. Liverpool are now the only team left in the Champions League with a perfect record after 4 games. So not going badly all around, is it? We're done. That's us for another week. Thank you for tuning in. As always, thank you for your support. Tell your friends and family about it. If you didn't see on the free show, but you probably have, we are going to be doing our live show for the 100th episode on the 28th of December. Look out for news next week and the week after. We will give priority access to subscribers, so and in the tiers as well. So highest paying tiers get first pick, and then so on. So you'll all get first pick, and then it'll go to people in the free show. So we'll let you know as soon as we've got details. And we're looking forward to it. I can't wait to do a live show with Boss. That's it. Thanks for your support. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Nice one.